We spend a massive amount of time on this show talking about the next big thing.
Right.
We obsess over the shiny startups, the generative art, the robots doing backflips, and it's fun. It's exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
But for this deep dive, I want you to picture the global economy not as some sleek spaceship, but as a house, a very big, very old house.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
We're all standing on the front lawn. We're admiring the new solar panels on the roof. Maybe there's a smart doorbell.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, down in the basement, the foundation is cracking.
Yeah.
There's water leaking near the fuse box.
Yeah.
And the only guy who actually knew how the wiring worked retired to Florida 3 years ago.
And he definitely took the blueprints with him.
Exactly. So today we are talking about that crisis in the basement. The industry calls it legacy modernization.
Which is a very polite, sterile way of saying it.
Right. A polite way of saying fixing the old decaying code that runs banks, airlines, and governments before the whole thing collapses.
It really is the unsexy plumbing of the digital world. But honestly, it's where the most money is being burned right now. It's a massive, silent crisis.
And that is our hook for today. We aren't just talking about code. We're digging into a really fascinating piece of source material from Codora. It's titled, How AI Changes the Economics of Legacy Modernization Deals.
Hot off the presses, too. March 2, 2026.
Yep. And the argument here isn't really about technology. It's about money.
Right. It's about the business model itself.
The premise is that the business model for fixing this old code is fundamentally broken. It's an economic time bomb. You have these massive enterprises, banks, insurers, and they're desperate to modernize.
Yeah, you have to.
They have to, and they want fixed prices. They want guarantees. But the vendors, the people actually doing the work, are finding that the cost of delivering these projects is just skyrocketing. It's totally unstable.
It really is. It's a market failure in slow motion.
So here is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to put aside the hype about, ChatGPT writing poetry or making funny images. We're going to look at how AI changes the equation of risk.
Yes.
How do we turn a high-stakes gamble into a predictable science?
And crucial for you listening, who actually captures the value when that happens?
Right, that part really surprised me. But let's start with the problem. Why is this so expensive? If I want to update a system, I hire a firm, they quote me a price, they do the work. Why is that failing?
So the article makes a really sharp distinction here to explain the failure. It says the industry is suffering from a category error.
A category error.
Yeah. Clients think modernization is an engineering problem.
Okay. Like building a bridge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you build a bridge, it's a physics problem. You know the distance across the river, you know the tensile strength of steel, you can calculate the load.
It's bounded,
It's
though.
totally bounded. You can put a price on it. You can say, this bridge will cost $100 million.
Sure.
You told me what you want. I calculate the materials and labor. I give you a price. But the article says modernization isn't engineering at all. It's an archaeological dig.
Oh, I love that image. It changes the mental map completely.
It's perfect, right? Because you're dealing with systems that are 20, 30, sometimes 40 years old.
Wow.
The documentation is gone, or even worse, it's wrong. The people who built it are gone. You don't know if you're digging up a pottery shard or a velociraptor.
So when a client asks for a fixed price, they're basically saying, tell me exactly how much it will cost to excavate this lost city, but I can't give you a map and you can't see underground.
Precisely. And this leads to a fundamental economic mismatch. In traditional models, we assume effort scales with size.
Right.
If I have 1 million lines of code, it takes X amount of time. If I have 2 million, it takes 2X.
That seems logical. Bigger
Yeah.
system, more work.
But it's wrong. In legacy modernization, effort doesn't scale with size. Effort scales with uncertainty.
Ah.
And uncertainty is incredibly expensive.
Because you spend all your time just trying to figure out where you are.
Right. As systems age, they don't just get bigger, they get murkier. This creates what the piece calls a structural mismatch.
Okay.
The client wants a fixed price for a bridge, but the vendor is staring into a black hole of uncertainty. The gap between those two things, expectation versus reality, is where the profit margins go to die.
Man. Let's drill down into that expense. The Codora piece outlines 4 cost drivers. These are the specific things that bloat the bill. The first one is discovery and analysis.
This is the what on earth is this phase.
Yeah.
Before you can modernize code, you have to read it. And I don't mean skimming a novel. I mean reading millions of lines of spaghetti code.
It's a tangled mess.
Logic that loops back on itself, variables named x1 and x2 with zero explanation.
And doing this manually.
It's grueling. You have teams of highly paid engineers spending months just trying to figure out the business logic. Like, if a customer lives in Ohio and buys a boat on a Tuesday, does the system add tax?
And they have to find that specific rule buried in the code because nobody wrote it down in a manual anywhere.
Right. It consumes a huge amount of the budget up front, and it's purely investigative. You aren't building anything yet. You're just trying to understand what's already there.
Which brings us to the second driver, and this one felt very real to me. SME dependency, or as I like to call it, the Bob problem.
Everyone has a Bob.
For you listening who hasn't worked in a massive corporate IT department, explain the Bob problem.
So Bob is the guy who has been at the company for 35 years. He's the only one who knows why the mainframe crashes if you process a transaction ending in the number 7.
And none of this is written down?
Nothing. It's all in Bob's head. This is what we call tribal knowledge. The problem is Bob is a bottleneck.
Right.
Every time the modernization team hits a weird snag, they have to stop, find Bob, wait for Bob to finish his lunch, and ask him.
And if Bob retires or wins the lottery?
Then you're flying blind. The project timeline slips, the risk goes through the roof, and the costs spiral. The article calls this ephemeral knowledge. It vanishes if you don't catch it.
That's scary. Okay, driver number 3, rework. Now, this just sounds like making mistakes.
It is, but it's very specific mistakes. This is the project killer. This is the hidden cost that destroys profit margins.
Okay.
Rework happens when you think you understood the system, you build the new version, you flip the switch, and it breaks.
Because you missed an edge case.
Exactly. You missed that one weird rule about boat taxes in Ohio. Now you have to stop, go back, redesign, recode, and retest.
Ouch.
And in a fixed price deal, the vendor usually eats that cost. It's pure margin destruction.
And that leads perfectly to the fourth driver, the uncertainty premium. This is basically the vendor protecting themselves, right?
What is the safety tax? If I'm a vendor and I know I have to deal with missing documentation, the Bob bottleneck, and inevitable rework, I cannot charge you the real cost.
You go bankrupt.
Right. I have to charge you the real cost plus a massive buffer for when things go wrong.
So I'm paying for the dragon in the basement.
You're paying for the fear of the dragon. Even if the dragon isn't actually there, you have to price it in.
This creates a terrible dynamic, doesn't it? The client feels ripped off because the price is so high, the vendor is terrified of going bankrupt if they find a mess. It's adversarial from day one.
It's a broken market. We're transacting on guesses.
Okay, so that's the bleak reality. The economics are stuck. Enter AI. Now, I want to be careful here. I feel like every time we say AI lately, we're talking about generating text or images. Like, look, the AI wrote a poem.
Right. And if you think that's what this is, you're missing the point.
So clarify this for us.
Yeah.
The article says we aren't using AI to just write code faster.
No. Speeding up typing doesn't solve the Bob problem.
Right.
If you just type faster, you just build the wrong thing faster. The Code Aura article argues that the true value of AI here is system comprehension.
Comprehension.
Think of it like an MRI machine. We aren't asking the AI to write a new story. We are feeding it the millions of lines of old, ugly, undocumented code and saying, tell us what this does.
So it actually reads the spaghetti code.
It reads it, it traces the variables, it maps the dependencies, it finds every place where Ohio boat tax is mentioned and shows you exactly how they connect.
It essentially automates the archaeological dig.
It creates the map, it takes that implicit knowledge, the stuff hidden in the code or in Bob's head, and makes it explicit.
That seems huge, because if I have a map, I'm not guessing anymore. I know where the walls are.
Exactly. The article uses a term for this transition, moving from labor-driven delivery to intelligence-leveraged delivery.
That sounds a bit like consultant speak.
It does.
Let's unpack that. What does intelligence leveraged actually mean on the ground?
Okay. The old model was labor-driven. If the system is complex, I throw bodies at it. I hire 50 engineers to read code. It's linear. More complexity equals more people.
And eventually you just run out of people.
Right. The new model is intelligence-leveraged. You use the AI to capture the understanding once. You build a knowledge graph of the system. Then your engineers query that knowledge. They don't have to rediscover it. The effort isn't constrained by how many Bobs you have. It's amplified by the intelligence you've extracted.
So instead of walking down the hall to ask Bob, I ask the AI.
Hey, AI, what happens if I change this variable? And the AI tells you, if you change that, you will break the payroll system in Belgium.
Wow. Immediate feedback.
Immediate context. It democratizes the expertise. A mid-level engineer can now work with the confidence of a senior expert because the AI is acting as their navigator.
Now, a question that always comes up, does this mean we fire the senior experts? Is this just about headcount reduction?
No, and the source is very clear on this. But their job does change. They stop being human encyclopedias and start being architects.
I see.
They focus on judgment, on the complex trade-offs, not on remembering variable names from 1995.
It moves them up the value chain.
Correct. And for the junior staff, onboarding time drops off a cliff. You don't need 6 months to learn the system. The system explains itself to you.
Okay, so operationally, this makes total sense. We work smarter, not harder. But let's get back to the money. This fixed price paradox section really caught my eye.
Oh, this is the part that every CFO needs to hear.
The article talks about evidence-based pricing. How does that differ from what we do now?
Well, right now we do buffer-based pricing. Like we said, we guess the risk and add a massive buffer. Evidence-based pricing means we run the AI analysis before we sign the contract.
Oh, interesting. So before I even hire you, you scan my code.
Exactly. We scan the code. The AI says, hey, this system is 80% standard, but there's a nest of dragons in the accounting module.
So both sides see the dragons.
Total transparency. The vendor says, I can give you a fixed price for the 80%, but we need a separate time and materials agreement for the accounting module because it's a mess.
That sounds remarkably sane.
It turns the negotiation from a poker game into a collaborative planning session. You aren't trying to outsmart each other. You're looking at the exact same data. It de-risks the commercial deal itself.
Now, here is the curveball. And I think this is the most provocative point in the source material. You would assume that if AI makes the work 50% more efficient, the price to the client drops by 50%.
It's a logical assumption.
But the article says no. Margins improve before prices drop.
This is basic economics, but it's totally counterintuitive. Think about the vendors right now, the big tech consultancies. Are they making massive profits on these legacy deals?
Based on what you said earlier about rework and bleeding money, I'd guess no.
They are struggling. They are constantly going over budget, eating costs, missing deadlines. Their margins are thin or even negative.
So if they get this magical AI efficiency,
The first thing they do isn't lower the price for the client. The first thing they do is stop losing money. They use the efficiency to fix their own house. They eliminate the rework. They stop the timeline slippage.
so the vendor captures the value first.
They capture the stability. They turn a volatile, risky contract into a profitable, predictable one. They prioritize internal efficiency first.
So if I'm a client listening to this, I shouldn't expect my bill to get cut in half tomorrow.
Not immediately, no. You'll get your project delivered on time for once. That's the immediate benefit. But the price drop comes later when the market saturates and vendors have to start competing on price again.
That's a really crucial insight for buyers. You're buying certainty, not a discount. At least not yet.
Exactly. The value sits with the vendor who can control volatility.
Let's talk about how we measure this. If I'm a CFO and I'm signing a check for $100 million to modernize my bank, how do I know if this intelligence leveraged approach is actually working? The article says traditional metrics like utilization are garbage.
Well, utilization just measures, are people busy? You can be very busy digging a hole in the wrong place.
True, being busy is definitely not the same as being productive.
The source suggests 3 new metrics. They sound a bit dry, but they are actually revolutionary for this industry. The first is discovery compression.
Which means
Time to understanding. In the old world, it took 6 months to map the system. With AI, can we do it in 6 weeks? If you compress discovery, you de-risk the whole project up front.
okay, second one.
Rework avoidance. This is a pure quality metric. Did we get the migration right the first time? Every time you avoid rework, you are saving pure profit.
In the third?
Variance reduction.
That sounds like a statistics class.
It's simpler than that. It just means, did the project follow the plan? If we said Module A will take 2 weeks, did it take 2 weeks? Or did it take 6?
Predictability.
A CFO loves predictability. They hate surprises. If you can use AI to eliminate the variance, you are speaking their language. It's all about economic control.
There was one final economic concept in the text that I thought was fascinating. Unit economics and the flywheel effect.
This is the long-term play. In the old model, every project is a bespoke effort. You finish project A, you fire the team or move them, and for project B, you start completely from scratch.
Zero knowledge retention.
Right. But with this AI approach, the intelligence is persistent. It's stored in the model. If you modernize the payment system today, the AI learns how your data works. When you go to modernize the customer database tomorrow,
It already knows the data structures.
exactly, the marginal cost of the next project goes down. You are building an asset, a knowledge base of your own company rather than just burning hours.
It transforms modernization from a project into a capability.
That is the big shift. It stops being a terrifying one-off event and becomes a scalable industrial process.
Which is frankly what it should have been all along, but we just didn't have the tech.
Yeah, we're trying to do archaeology with spoons. Now we have ground-penetrating radar.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone from the hidden crisis in the basement to the broken economics of fixed-price deals, and finally to how AI fundamentally changes the risk equation.
It's not about replacing humans. It's about arming them with the map so they aren't walking off cliffs. It shifts the focus from managing labor to managing intelligence.
I want to leave you listening with a final thought, something to chew on. The article poses a question about the market dynamics. We know AI will reduce the effort required. That's physics at this point.
Inevitable. The tech is already here.
The question is, who captures that value first?
It's the ultimate tug of war.
If you are a vendor, you have a brief window right now. You can use this tech to fix your margins, stabilize your delivery, and finally run a healthy business. But that window won't stay open forever.
No. Eventually, clients will get savvy.
And if you are a client, if you are the one buying these services, you need to start asking different questions. Don't ask how many people are on the project. Ask, how are you using AI to guarantee you won't need more people later?
Ask, show me the map before I sign the check.
Exactly. The power dynamic shifting. It's going to be fascinating to watch who grabs the rope first. But it makes me wonder, if we actually solve the legacy code problem, if old systems are no longer a death sentence for a company, does that mean these massive central corporations will just never die? If they don't collapse under their own technical debt, are we entering an era of immortal companies? That's something to think about.
It's going to be a wild few years in the basement.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Hopefully your next modernization project feels a little less like an archaeological dig and a little more like, well, engineering.
One can dream.
See you next time.